It is time. Time to get cozy with the brand new, still new car smell, SHOKZ OPENCOMM2 UC. SHOKZ's latest take on the home and office oriented headset. You can pick it up now for $200 on SHOKZ's website. Full disclosure, SHOKZ sent me an OPENCOMM UC and OPENCOMM2 UC set for comparison purposes. I was not compensated beyond that. However, long before being approached by SHOKZ, I had already purchased the original OPENCOMM, which was released late 2020, and the original OPENCOMM UC back in mid-2022. Anyway, I'm coming into this review with a few years of experience with this product line, and I'm excited about version 2 as this is a 5 days a week kind of product for me. So how can I put this humbly? I am too precious and delicate to put buds in or pads over my ears for extended periods. It violates my be comfortable all the time policy. SHOKZ is an open ear headphones company. The primary and only technology they've used until very recently is bone conduction, which means they use bone vibrators, also known as transducers, near the ear to get signals to auditory nerves. I know, it comes across a little weird, but it works and avoids a lot of the traditional discomforts. As you can see from my SHOKZ collection, I'm, let's say, an enthusiast of this strategy. But regardless of my fandom, I do insist on giving an accurate and hopefully helpful account of the product. All right, let's unbox the OPENCOMM2 UC and do this thing. Well, they pulled a bit of a switcheroo and made the case a little rounder. Okay. Buried underneath the case, there is documentation and your warranty card. You get a 2-year warranty, which is a year longer than normal. I've gotten replacements in the past, so SHOKZ is really good about this. Knowing the serial number will make submitting your claim easier. You can find your serial number on your warranty card and on the set itself, but you might need a microscope. So inside this hard-shelled zippered case, you have the OPENCOMM2 UC headset, a magnetic charging cable, and the Loop 110 wireless adapter. I requested the USB-C variant to avoid the potential need for dangly dingle-dongles on certain modern laptops, but you can also get USB Type-A. The OPENCOMM2 UC's case design is very similar to the OPENCOMM UC's, with 3 exceptions. The zipper went on a diet, there is a dedicated pouch for the UC accessory instead of a cutout, and the netting has a Velcro opening, which seems to be just the right size for your warranty card. But you know, go nuts, it's your Velcro net. The charging cable, which is USB Type-A to proprietary magnetic connector, has not changed. So let's discuss the OPENCOMM2 UC built-in features. As with the original OPENCOMM UC, it's in a dark suit. Virtually all of it is coated in a satisfying rubbery silicone, which is covering a flexible titanium frame. If your reference point is the original OPENCOMM, released in 2020, the saucy orange buttons have been replaced with very serious, no funny business black buttons. I'm not gonna cry about it, but I do kind of miss the orange buttons. Oh, you're so cute. I have been asked in previous videos if you can wear these for exercise, perhaps as a fitness instructor, possibly instructing upside down. Let's take a look-see with my 2-eared partial head friend. Haha, I was practicing humor there. Okay, on a real noggin, whether bobbing up and down, hanging upside down, trampolining, this thing might as well be glued to your head. I don't feel very good. The OpenRun Pro, SHOKZ's flagship sporty product, uses 9th gen bone conduction technology, which at face seems strange that the latest SHOKZ bone conduction headset is 2 versions behind the latest bone conduction version. My intuition is that, other than perhaps some cost savings, version 9 is a bit more bass-focused, helping to fill out frequency ranges beneficial for satisfying music playback, where those enhancements are not critical or possibly even counterproductive for voice call clarity, which is managed more narrowly in the mid-range. So no improvements or changes in sound quality have been advertised, though I'll monologue good and hard about my latest sound quality insights towards the end of the video. There are 4 controls on the set: the plus/minus volume buttons that primarily handle volume, though the plus also takes on power and pairing duties. I noticed a power icon was added here to clarify. The multifunction button on the left transducer answers calls, conjures voice assistants, and manages audio tracks like play, pause, and skipping. Note that all these buttons are much larger, more spaced, and more luxurious than you find on the active sets. The humps that house the processors and batteries and magnetic charging port did not change in dimension. However, the battery capacity on the OPENCOMM2 UC was bumped a bit from 170 to 183 milliamp hours. But there are no advertised changes to talk, listening, or charging times. Though the original specs were pretty decent at 16 hours of talk, which translates to meeting time, so talking and listening, and 8 hours of listening, which means music podcasts, off a 60-minute charge. Personal experience, even after the set has time to season, so it's no longer in peak battery mode, I can still get through a day with a high meeting load, let's say 6 hours of meetings. If I don't charge overnight, I might run into trouble towards the middle or end of the next day under similar heavy use conditions. If you're in a tight spot, a 5-minute charge can almost always get me through a call. SHOKZ advertises 2 hours of talk off a 5-minute charge. A defining component of the OPENCOMM line is the arm here that can rotate beside your cheek or up to a more discrete location. On the end of the arm is the microphone and perhaps one of the biggest enhancements to the OPENCOMM2 UC, a dedicated mute button. Mute. With the original OPENCOMM 1 UC right here, you kind of had to awkwardly hold the plus/minus buttons for a few seconds to mute the set.
Mute on.
Also with the original OPENCOMM UC, there was this mute beep. Anyway, this beeping goes off like every 10 seconds to really make sure you don't forget you're on mute. But at the same time, the headphone mute would not sync with the mute function on the teleconferencing service, opening up some avenues for usability confusion and meeting awkwardness. So I almost exclusively used Microsoft Teams for work, and pressing the mute button here on the OPENCOMM2 UC mutes and unmutes the Teams software, a much appreciated improvement for sure. And that mute beep has been sent to a far-off retirement community, where it has discovered pickleball and is having lots of fun. To clarify, the mute button only works when the mic is being actively requested by the device. Even more clarifications, the OPENCOMM2 UC's mic and mute button is compatible outside of teleconferencing applications like Apple Voice Memos, for instance. SHOKZ has traditionally not endorsed this set for gaming, as it may introduce a slight delay. Another major change, but perhaps minor in implication, the mic arm switched sides from left to right. Perusing through Amazon's collection of headsets, it's clear the right side is the typical case. I'm left-handed. Perhaps you had your suspicions. So I'll admit, the arm actually did feel a little more natural on the left for me with the original OPENCOMM and the OPENCOMM UC. I got used to the change fairly quickly, and I suspect this change will make the set feel more natural than it would have for the majority of you, which is good news. One other minor design change I noticed was a more spacious mic housing on the arm here. Now, I don't think SHOKZ wants to make the set bigger just for fun and giggles. A reasonable assumption is that the size increase aids in voice capture enhancements and might have something to do with this clear voice capture technology that is unique to the OPENCOMM2 UC. To keep you entertained, I'll have some mic tests towards the end of the video. The status display is a single LED right next to the Shokz logo. It flashes blue-red when pairing, red when charging, and blue when fully charged. Alright, so the Loop 110, what's up with that? Again, I will be showing off the USB-C variant. Getting the OPENCOMM2 UC connected to the Loop 110 out of the box is, well, as easy as plugging in the Loop 110 to the computer, so either Mac or PC. If it's plugged in and the OPENCOMM2 UC is turned on, you will almost definitely hear PC connected, and then you're good to go. If you're using teleconferencing software for the first time with the Loop 110, make sure to set the input and output to Loop 110. It will show up as an option, but may not default to that option when first plugged in. If you somehow lose your connection or want to pair, say, an older OPENCOMM set to the Loop 110, hold the Loop 110 button until you see red and blue flashing, then put the desired OPENCOMM headset into pairing mode, and wait around a bit. There are nifty display enhancements on the Loop 110. First of all, the single LED display is much bigger and more visible, being both on the top and bottom, at least in the USB-C version. And this LED is worth seeing as it offers useful information on the microphone state. So solid blue, your OPENCOMM UC2 is connected. Maybe it's streaming audio, maybe not, but it's not on a call, or more generally, the computer is not requesting or using your mic. Green, your mic is being requested and you're not on mute. So active meetings, you're recording your voice using voice memos, or even talking to Siri. If it's green, your voice is going through, so keep that in mind. Red, you're connected, the mic is being requested, but the set is muted. As mentioned, sets that came before the OPENCOMM2 UC are compatible with the Loop 110. However, when muted, they don't get this red state. That seems to be reserved for the OPENCOMM2 UC, at least for now. And let's remember, the physical mute button on the OPENCOMM2 UC is only given special teleconferencing integration powers when streaming through the Loop 110. If you're connecting via Bluetooth, well, the mute button still works, but the computer doesn't know the set is muted. All of the OPENCOMMs have an IP rating of 5.5, which means that it will most likely take some rain and water spills with no damage, so one fewer reason to freak out, which is good. Multipoint pairing is supported on all OPENCOMM versions, so that is useful if you want to Bluetooth pair this to multiple devices.
Have you ever been in love? Have you ever lost your head? Have you felt like you were out of breath when you saw? Finding myself a much less happy.
So what's up with this Zoom certification exclusive to the OPENCOMM2 UC? So I'm not a Zoom expert. I use mostly Teams, as mentioned, but I can manage a bit of research from time to time, and here is what I distilled about Zoom certification advantages from various sources on the net. As it seems, getting the actual lab test criteria requires way more effort than I or my assistants, which is still just me, are willing to put in. So advantage number one, you can answer a Zoom call as you would a normal phone call with the multifunction button, so you don't need to be near your desk or use the computer interface to answer. This helps you to not miss that important call and or avoid stare sprints. The second advantage, you can mute and unmute Zoom software with the mute function on the set, helping you and others in the meeting know when your set is on mute. The third advantage is sound quality, so the set must meet high standards of noise cancellation. Your voice has to come through with an acceptable level of quality, no matter what, or something close to that. And 4, your headset must be durable. You know, last a few years without pieces falling off. All this being said, expect a solid Zoom experience with hardware that will stay in one piece. So what's up with this UC label? Anyway, the UC, or United Communications label, which is associated with deep integration with teleconferencing software, makes a lot more sense with the OPENCOMM2 UC than the original OPENCOMM UC. Moving on, the OPENCOMM2 UC nor OPENCOMM UC are compatible with the Shokz mobile app, and only the OPENCOMM2 UC is compatible with Shokz Connect, a Mac PC app that, as far as I can tell, is dedicated to firmware updates. So I would download that and check for updates every few months. Comfort and situational awareness. Out of all the stuff I have been talking about, comfort is like 90% of my rationale for choosing OPENCOMM. That being said, there really is no change in this department when it comes to the OPENCOMM2 UC, which is good because I sense it's much easier to get less comfortable than more comfortable. The OPENCOMM2 UC is still all-day wearable. I forget I'm wearing it, which is really the important part for me. I just can't be distracted by my headset. And yes, I consider these wearable with glasses, as most of the time I'm working at home, I'm wearing glasses. I'm very sensitive and fussy, and nothing about the glasses headset pairing comes across as awkward or uncomfortable from my perspective. You want to know what's not very comfortable? Wearing contacts and glasses. So this is my own little observation, pet conspiracy theory. I sense that the OPENCOMMs have a slightly more relaxed squeeze than the sporty sets like the OpenRun Pro here. Viewers, you are witnessing some hardcore science right now. On top of this, the OPENCOMM transducer's flat area is larger than the active sets. Perhaps both of these factors contribute to what I consider top-tier comfort from the OPENCOMMs. So I don't think the situational awareness aspect is as critical when sitting at a desk as, say, riding a bike on a busy street, but if you're taking calls while moving around, perhaps in proximity to heavy machinery, consider the situational awareness advantage of a set like this. In my personal experience, I have found open ear sets to enable better detection of big scary things like motor vehicles, but I do find it somewhat difficult to hold a conversation without pausing audio. So don't expect that there is zero interference with hearing the outside audio world. Range. In practical terms, I didn't notice a difference in range between the OPENCOMM UC and the OPENCOMM2 UC using either Bluetooth or the loop. In this prior video, I did demonstrate that the Bluetooth range, unobstructed, can be very far, much further than the loop, like down the neighborhood 8 houses far. But when walls are introduced, it kind of flattens everything to the same distance tether, which for me just isn't quite far enough to get to that special room I visit from time to time during meetings. Oh, relax, there's a dedicated mute button. Usability, there's not much to say here. Once the loop pairing is established, you're good to go. When you turn the headset off, the Loop 110 will go dormant. When you turn the headset back on, the Loop 110 will find the headset in like 2 seconds, maybe 4. Sound quality. It has not changed really from the OPENCOMM UC using what is advertised as the exact same bone conduction technology. As I mentioned 2 years ago in my original review, I do think the EQing here is really oriented towards clear dialogue, so phone calls and podcasts are really what you should mainly be consuming with a device like this. I've never had issues with hearing voices clearly on an OPENCOMM. One way this set assists with clarity is it does kind of taper some of the frequencies that might contribute to unhelpful resonances. If I'm just listening to voice, I prefer the OPENCOMM2 UC over, say, a quality over the ear set or a stereo setup, because those audio devices often sound too boomy or sonically complex when I'm just trying to make out what someone is saying. I'm not typically trying to swoon in the rich layers of voices, just trying to give me their take on the news. If you prefer features like dialogue mode on your soundbar, for instance, there is a vocal booster EQ mode. You can switch between standard and vocal booster mode by holding down the plus/minus buttons when audio is playing.
Vocal booster mode, standard mode.
I don't think there is a huge difference between the two modes. Let's think of this as standard mode and this as vocal booster mode, with a slight boost to the central vocal frequencies and a tapering of non-central frequencies. As there is some blending of headset sound and outside sound, it can be difficult to hear when in loud environments, like walking next to a busy street or sitting next to the engine on airplanes. I know it seems counterintuitive, but earplugs can be used to reduce sound loss when you're occasionally in those loud environments. Beyond the OPENCOMM's advertised purpose of teleconferencing and perhaps podcasts and audiobooks, which I'll admit is the majority of my listening these days, I'm really putting up zero resistance as I slide into middle-agedom.
The more the merrier. Paris, huh?
Anyway, I'm not really inclined to use the OPENCOMMs. They stay at my desk. There are much better options for music, even in the SHOKZ product lineup, the new OpenFit being the best amongst them. All right, let's quickly check out how well the mic works. This is a test of the SHOKZ OPENCOMM UC in a quiet environment. This is a test of the SHOKZ OPENCOMM2 UC in a quiet environment. This is a test of the SHOKZ OPENCOMM UC in a loud environment. This is a test of the SHOKZ OPENCOMM2 UC in a loud environment. This is the SHOKZ OPENCOMM over Bluetooth in a quiet environment. This is a test of the SHOKZ OPENCOMM2 over Bluetooth in a quiet environment. This is a test of the SHOKZ OPENCOMM over Bluetooth in a loud environment. This is a test of the SHOKZ OPENCOMM2 over Bluetooth in a loud environment. My take, I think it works just fine. A few observations. I noticed improvements over the OPENCOMM UC. My voice comes across a little more full-bodied, and I want to say less sandy, shifty, less distortion on the higher frequencies. Though I'll admit it's a subtle difference and probably not all that detectable over YouTube after compression. The noise canceling works, I'd say, a little more gracefully with the OPENCOMM2 UC in the quiet environment with a little less ambient noise in between phrases, and in the loud environment, the background noises were more soft and smooth. Now, various teleconferencing services have various voice filtering algorithms, so the benefit of the OPENCOMM2 UC might change relative to application. But in terms of raw output, the OPENCOMM2 UC is the highest performer. After listening, I think it's fairly obvious that audio via the loops is superior to audio via computer Bluetooth. That is, the loop to Bluetooth sound difference is greater than loop to loop or OPENCOMM to OPENCOMM. With the loop 110 and the 100, the artifacts were dramatically lessened, so less muddling, flubs, and scratchiness, leading to a much more enjoyable listening experience. Yes, I know, why do we even care how we sound? It's someone else's problem. It matters. I can be listening to the smartest coworker who ever co-worked, but if there is something goofy going on with the sound, all I can think is, get a better set, get a better set, get a better set. I'm dying here. And I think these qualify as a better set. So a short recap, I think we got a solid upgrade here on an already very good headset. The big improvements on the OPENCOMM2 UC, the mute button, deeper teleconferencing integration, a more expressive UC adapter, and better noise canceling that will reflect well on you in meetings, all while offering top-tier comfort. So with these considerations and the fact that I bought 2 OPENCOMM sets prior to this video, I think you can trust me that my OPENCOMM2 UC recommendation is straight from the heart. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please help me reach my 20,000 sub goals by 2024 so my wife has to roll her eyes just a little less when discussing my channel. Wrapping this up, catch you on the next one.